I mentioned I was starting to learn Spanish. The next time I saw my in-laws, my mother-in-law said, "How cute. We've all decided to learn Italian instead, for the family." They handed me a workbook labeled "For Beginners Who Want to Keep Up." When I married my husband, we settled in Kansas City, Missouri. I was excited to start this new chapter of my life. Coming from a multicultural background, I had always been fascinated by languages. So, I decided to learn Spanish, hoping to connect with the diverse community around us. One evening, during a family dinner, I mentioned my new endeavor. "I've started learning Spanish," I said, smiling. My husband nodded supportively, but my mother-in-law's reaction was unexpected. She smirked and said, "How cute. We've all decided to learn Italian instead, for the family." She then handed me a workbook labeled "For Beginners Who Want to Keep Up." I was taken aback. It felt like a subtle jab, a way to exclude me from the family circle. I tried to brush it off, but the sting lingered. As time went on, I noticed more instances of subtle exclusion. Family conversations would often shift to Italian, leaving me out. They'd laugh at jokes I couldn't understand. It was clear they were creating a barrier. I confided in my husband. He acknowledged the behavior, but seemed hesitant to confront his family. I felt isolated, but I didn't want to cause a rift. Determined not to be sidelined, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I began learning Italian in secret. Every night, after my husband went to bed, I'd study. I practiced speaking, listening, and even picked up on their idioms. Months passed, and I became proficient. I could understand their conversations, their jokes, and even their criticisms. But I kept my knowledge hidden, waiting for the right moment. During another family gathering, the conversation, as usual, shifted to Italian. They discussed me, assuming I couldn't understand. My mother-in-law commented on my cooking, mocking it. Others laughed. I took a deep breath and responded in fluent Italian, addressing each of their comments. The room fell silent. Their faces turned pale. "I've understood everything for months," I said. "I learned Italian to be part of this family, but it seems that wasn't enough." The atmosphere changed dramatically. My in-laws became more cautious, their conversations more inclusive. My husband stood by me, proud of my determination. I realized that sometimes, the best way to handle exclusion is not confrontation but quiet perseverance. By learning their language, I not only broke down their barriers, but also earned their respect. After that night, I expected things to improve. For a little while, it seemed like they did. My in-laws weren't speaking Italian in front of me as much. My mother-in-law didn't make snide comments about my cooking. They smiled more, invited me to things, asked polite questions. It felt like maybe I had finally been accepted. Maybe learning Italian had done the trick. But something felt off. It wasn't what they were saying. It was what they weren't saying. I'd walk into a room, and the conversation would stop. My sister-in-law, who used to call me at least once a week, suddenly went quiet. My father-in-law wouldn't make eye contact. And my mother-in-law? She was too nice. Like, fake nice. Every word she spoke to me had a smile but no warmth behind it. Then came the party. It was a 4th of July barbecue at their house. I brought homemade empanadas because I thought it'd be fun to mix in a little Spanish-inspired dish. When I showed up, the table was already covered in food, Italian food. Everything. Bruschetta, spaghetti, eggplant parm, even tiramisu. My empanadas looked out of place, like I had walked into the wrong party. My mother-in-law gave me a tight-lipped smile. "Oh, you brought something. International. That's nice." I told myself it wasn't a big deal. I was imagining things. But then I heard my name. From the kitchen. They forgot I now understood every word in Italian. "She's trying too hard," my sister-in-law whispered. "It's embarrassing." "She's not family," my mother-in-law said. "She's just someone who married in. We need to make sure she knows her place." I didn't say anything that day. I smiled. I served myself a plate of spaghetti. I complimented the eggplant. I thanked them for hosting. But something in me snapped. I went home that night and didn't sleep. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the words over and over in my head. She's not family. Okay, fine. If that's how they saw me, I'd stop trying to be part of their world. But I wasn't going to fade away quietly. Not anymore. This time, I was going to hit them where it hurt. The next few months, I got busy. Real busy. I picked up a side hustle teaching beginner Spanish at a local community center. It felt good. It gave me confidence. I made friends. The students were mostly older people, retirees, empty nesters. I loved how excited they were to learn. One day, a woman in my class, Maria, mentioned her son worked in local media. Public radio. She said they were looking for guests to talk about culture and community language initiatives. I laughed and told her my story. She didn't laugh. She asked if I'd tell it on air. I said yes. When the episode aired, it was called Learning Languages, Losing Family, One Woman's Journey Through Culture and Rejection. They didn't use real names, but if you knew us, you knew. The fallout came fast. I didn't warn my husband. I didn't expect the show to get that much attention. But it did. It aired during drive time. Got shared online. Went a little viral, locally. His phone blew up. I was at work when I got the call. You went on the radio, he said. His voice was low, tight. Yes, I said. I told the truth. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "They're furious." I shrugged, even though he couldn't see me. They were already furious at my existence. They invited us to dinner. To clear the air. I didn't want to go, but I wasn't going to hide. We arrived and the tension hit like a wall. My mother-in-law had that same fake smile. My father-in-law barely nodded. My sister-in-law didn't even try to be polite. Then, the attack started. You made us look cruel, my mother-in-law snapped. How dare you air private family issues to strangers? I stared at her. Calm. Cold. You didn't think it was private when you were mocking me in Italian in your own kitchen. That was a misunderstanding, no. I understood every word. You were clear. Then my husband, quiet this whole time, stood up and said, "Enough. You did treat her badly. You treated her like an outsider from the day we got married. She's my wife. That makes her family, whether you like it or not." The silence was so thick I could hear the clock ticking. We left without dessert. My husband didn't say much in the car. When we got home, he just hugged me. "They'll never change," I said. "I know," he replied. But I wasn't finished. They thought they were clever with their workbook. Their jokes. Their whispers. But I still had one move left. And this time, it wasn't just about language. It was about power. A few weeks after the disaster dinner, I got a text from an unknown number. No words, just a photo. It was the same Spanish workbook I had been using months ago, torn in half. Just the front cover and my name scribbled across it. My stomach dropped. Whoever sent it didn't need to say anything. The message was clear. I showed it to my husband. He stared at the screen for a long time. "Do you think it was them?" he asked. "Yes," I said. And I think they wanted me to know it. Later that week, I got an email from the community center where I taught. Someone had written a complaint, anonymously. They accused me of teaching biased material and spreading misinformation about language and culture. The center director called me in. She was kind but concerned. "We've never had complaints about you." This one felt targeted. I agreed. She let me stay on, thankfully. But now I had eyes on me. I had a friend, Vanessa, who worked in IT. She owed me a favor. I asked her if she could trace the email. She couldn't promise anything, but said she'd try. A few days later, she called. The email came from a library computer in Johnson County. That's where my sister-in-law lives. I didn't even need confirmation. I knew it was her. She was the quiet one. The one who used to play the nice card. But I remembered what she said in the kitchen. She's trying too hard. It's embarrassing. It all made sense now. So I started documenting everything. I printed out the anonymous email. I saved the torn Spanish workbook text message. I took screenshots of their old Facebook posts where they joked about family jokes only real Italians get. I even had a voice memo from the 4th of July barbecue where you could clearly hear my name and my mother-in-law's voice trashing my cooking in Italian. I wasn't going to the police or anything, but I was building a file, not to destroy them, just to protect myself. Then, something happened I didn't expect. I got an email from a woman named Clara. She introduced herself as the ex-wife of my husband's cousin. We'd never met. She said, "I heard your story. I went through the exact same thing. Your mother-in-law bullied me until I left. Nobody talks about it, but you're not the first." She shared stories, photos, screenshots, even an old group chat where my name had come up before the radio show. They were already talking about me, planning to ice me out. It wasn't just petty dislike. This was a pattern. And I had proof now. Clara told me something else. "They do this because of money," she said. "What do you mean?" "They want to control who's in the family. Who knows what? Who's connected to who? Your husband's inheritance is tied up in a trust controlled by his parents. They don't want that going to someone they don't approve of." I sat in silence. Everything clicked. The fake smiles, the workbook, the attempt to smear me at work, the radio show embarrassment. It wasn't just about me being different. It was about control. I didn't tell my husband right away. I needed to be sure. So I did something risky. I asked Clara to send me any documents she had. She had old tax papers, statements, even an email thread between her and the family lawyer. That's when I saw it, my husband's name listed under a conditional clause in the trust. If he divorced me, he got full control of his share. If he stayed married, the parents kept oversight. I felt sick. He didn't know. Or maybe he did? I sat him down. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just showed him the papers. His face changed. Not shock. More like shame. "I didn't know the details," he said. "But I knew they were trying to keep the money close. I didn't know about the clause. Do you believe me now?" I asked. He nodded. "I do. I always did. I just didn't want to admit how bad it was. So here's where I am now. My marriage? Still standing for now. My in-laws? They've gone quiet. I haven't released anything yet. The voice memo, the messages, the financial docs. I'm sitting on a bomb and they don't know if I'll drop it. Part of me wants to end this quietly. Another part of me wants to scorch the earth. I haven't decided yet, but I know one thing. They'll never see me as just someone who married in again. For weeks, I did nothing. No messages, no calls, no moves. And they got nervous. I could feel it. My mother-in-law started sending fake friendly texts again. My sister-in-law tagged me in old family photos on Facebook like we were best friends. My father-in-law even dropped off a fruit basket. It was almost funny. They thought they could erase what they did with bananas and forced smiles. But I wasn't buying it. I knew exactly when I'd make my move. We hosted a dinner party at our place, just a few friends, some people from my Spanish class, and one special guest, Clara. I invited my in-laws too. They were surprised but agreed to come. I knew they couldn't resist showing face. Appearances mattered to them. They arrived dressed up, smiling like nothing ever happened. My husband played host, nervous, but trying to hold it together. Halfway through the night, I stood up with a glass of wine and said, "I'd like to make a toast." Everyone quieted down. To the people who teach us lessons. Sometimes with kindness, sometimes with cruelty. But either way, we learn. I look straight at my in-laws. And sometimes, what we learn ends up being useful in ways they never expected. Then I sat down. Clara gave me a knowing nod. 2 days later, I dropped the envelope at their doorstep. Inside was a copy of everything I had gathered, the audio recordings, the screenshots, the email trail, and, most importantly, a letter I had drafted, addressed to the board of trustees handling the family trust. I never sent the letter. But they didn't know that. The envelope also included a simple message: if you ever come near my career, my home, or my marriage again, the next copy goes to the lawyer. That was it. No signature. No threats. Just facts. 3 days later, my husband got a call from the family lawyer. He asked to meet. Alone. My husband went. When he came back, he was pale. They're restructuring the trust, he said. They don't want anything hanging over their heads. They know what they did. He looked at me. I think you scared them. Word got around the family. Distant cousins started messaging me. Some were grateful. Some were angry. But most were just surprised someone finally stood up to them. My mother-in-law stopped speaking to us completely. My sister-in-law deleted her social media for a while. My father-in-law? He sent an email. Just one line. I didn't agree with everything, but I understand now. But here's where I admit something. I went too far. Not because they didn't deserve it. They did. But I let revenge take over. I pushed my husband to choose between me and his family. I made our house a battleground. I turned every interaction into a test of loyalty. I was hurt, but I also made it about winning. And when you do that, you lose something too. We're still together. But we're not the same. The trust money? My husband gave it up. Voluntarily. Said he didn't want anything tied to control or conditions. He got a job out of state. We moved. Clean slate. We still talk about what happened sometimes. Quietly. Carefully. Like poking an old bruise. But I don't regret it. Not the language lessons. Not the radio show. Not even the fake letter. Because I needed them to know I wasn't weak. I wasn't going to stay quiet and smile. I was part of the family. But I wasn't theirs to control.